Mr. Chairperson, the distinguished representative of the United Nations Population Council, Dr. Shamar, His Excellency, the Indonesian Ambassador, who is represented, and my dear friend, Dr. Mohitab. The issue I will raise today is why Pakistan has not reaped the demographic dividend and what we can learn from other countries on how to reap this dividend. And then I will have some specific suggestions from my end on how we can. General issue I want to raise, because this is a session full of numbers and numbers and numbers. And I want to raise this point that generally, as a country, we have forgotten how to count. Some or the other, when we were young, we said you count the numbers and you come up with the result. No, that's not how we count numbers anymore. We count numbers, and then we are told you must be able to get to this particular number. Now, this is a new way of adding things. So what has happened is you have a population census, which I can tell you today the facts will be changed one day. We don't know the exact numbers. So unless we get our numbers right and we allow our population census, we allow our other body to do their homework in the way they do it by adding numbers, we will not make any progress. Now let me come to the issue of the demographic dividend. The demographic dividend, as we all know, is a window of opportunity which comes up when your working age population grows at a faster growth rate than your dependent population. Now, in the 1990s, the demographers told us we are about to enter this window of opportunity. We waited. Then we were told, no, you have to wait longer. So we waited. And now we are told that you have to wait even longer. Why? Because the fertility rate, which is essential for the demographic dividend to deliver, has not come down. In fact, it reversed the process after the 1990s. It is going up. So my basic premise is, no, we did not receive the demographic dividend. We are in the phase of what I call the demographic disaster. What is the demographic disaster? The demographic disaster is a situation where you get the youth bulge, so you get new entrants into the workforce, and there is an echo of this youth bulge in terms of increasing fertility, and the fertility rate does not decline. So you get what we call double jeopardy. You get the worst of all worlds. And we today are passing through this phase, which is giving us the worst of all worlds as far as our demographic change is concerned. We have heard lots of numbers, and we seem to be going down and down every time we look at numbers. We are here and then we are there. Ladies and gentlemen, we were one of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world. From 1960 to 1990, there were many shortcomings, but in terms of economic growth, we were among the 10 fastest growing economies in the world with a growth rate of 6.5 to 7. And then we waited for the demographic dividend to take us forward. The demographic dividend will raise the savings rate. The demographic dividend will raise the investment rate. It will give us the momentum in which we can grow. And today, in the last 35 years, our growth rate has halved. And instead of being amongst the leading countries in the world, we are amongst the lagging countries in the world today. If you look at all the graphs we showed, India taking over, Bangladesh taking over, Pakistan going down, just change one statistics. If we had grown at the rate of growth, India less than 1 and Bangladesh 1, we would have been right on top there. So my message to you is, take care of your population growth, and the economy will take care of itself. Take care of population growth, and the GDP growth will take care of itself. I can start with 2 examples. A country which I, in my first UN assignment, went to was Thailand, and I was in Bangkok. They were all right. They were behind us in many ways. And then I saw this dynamic population person come in, Mr. Mijin, who's written this book, and he was throwing contraceptives into my car. Leave aside my household. And he was giving me balloons made out of contraceptives, which my wife was very embarrassed. But what I'm saying is, this is how they aggressively pursued their population program. They were able to get results. And the same economy, when they started doing economic reforms, had the tailwind of population declining numbers to take them forward. So here is a good example of a country which today has a $20,000 per capita income, where ours is far less. Now, India is a bit of a taboo, but let me also mention this. I went to India. I was posted there from 85 to 90. I tell you, I had never seen an economy function so inefficiently and so badly. They were trying to make everything and nothing worked. And then they started their reforms program, but again with the tailwind of population growth falling. Today, their population growth is less than 1%. In fact, a number of studies are showing that in most of these fast-growing East and Far East and Southeast economies which have reaped the demographic dividend, the real factor was the growth rate of fertility, the rate of fertility declining, and the growth of population decline. So, we have the IMF here, the World Bank here, everybody here. Reform kare, economic reforms kare, ye kare, economic reform, ye kare, economic. I agree with all of that. But let me just repeat to you. Can you have an export-led growth, which everybody is talking about? When your population is growing at 2.7, 2.6%, यहाँ पैसे नहीं है बच्चों को खिलाने के खाने, तो आप एक एक्सपोर्ट-लेड ग्रोथ पे जा रहे हैं. और जब उनके पढ़े, ये दें हमें, बिजली भी सस्ती दें, ये भी सस्ता दें, रॉ मटेरियल भी सस्ता. What has happened? We have had this 13th five-year plan, and we've had Uran Pakistan. I can tell you, I wrote this. I remember Junaid Saab set up a Manpower, a Human Development Commission, and I was a member, and Abakai Saab was there, and I wrote the main report. And I wrote there, 30 years earlier, all the recommendations in this report will come to nothing if we do not control the growth rate of our population. And this is exactly what I would say about Uran Pakistan, about these reforms which we are hoping. I think the finance minister has realized the importance of population growth, but he's also realized that we can't grow beyond 3.5%. So we are not going to, Professor Asen is still optimistic that in the recent future we'll go, and you will not. Unless you can get rid of this binding constraint, nothing will happen. And you have to take this into account. Now, the fact is If you look at examples, and Bangladesh was spoken about, and there were a lot of things about Bangladesh, there were three things which struck me about Bangladesh. Although Bangladesh itself says that it has not yet fully taken advantage of the demographic dividend, but they have got some tailwinds. First of all, this country is known as the Bangladesh surprise, has better human development indicators. This so-called basket case, which we thought we were giving up, is now far ahead of us. And we have much to learn from them. The female labor force participation rate went down. Second, they used their NGOs to reduce the rate of growth. As the chairperson said, at the footsteps, they gave the contraceptives and others. And third, and I'm so glad to hear it, the leadership gave the signal to go forward, and the leadership and the religious groups did not oppose it. This was an important element which led them to where they are. If you look at other countries, then let me say Iran has been mentioned, but I was impressed also with Egypt. The interesting part of both Iran and Egypt is the flexibility they are trying to build into their population growth strategy. The fact is that when the Khomeini government took over, they were against the family planning process. What they did after the war with Iran in 1985, they reversed the decision. They knew their resources. They realized that their infrastructure had been destroyed, and Iran was able to put in a family planning process, especially at the local level, which reduced the growth rate of population. In fact, they're going the reverse direction now because the replacement ratio has gone down. So they are now encouraging people to raise the growth rate of population. Egypt is very similar to us. In fact, its politics sort of resembles ours. And even today, some lessons can be learned from this. But let me tell you what President Sisi has said and done. Sisi is very clear. Two-child family. The president of the Muslim Republic, or the Arab Republic of Egypt, has said two-child family. And they have laid out a population plan, which I think is very relevant to us. Let me just go over them. 5-point plan which they have put. I'm not giving the statistics for you, but increase the contraceptive prevalence rate, reduce school dropouts, increase female labor participation rate, delay early marriages, enhance social protection, and something not in my lifetime, and I will see, improve governance. I mean, that at least will take us, we should just not use this word. I mean, I see IMFs and everybody coming and telling us, I've heard this for the last 60 years. But let me give you what I believe are 6 priorities or 5 priorities highly relevant for Pakistan today too. First, educating our youth on the benefits of raising happy, healthy, and smaller-sized families. And I have a concrete suggestion here. One subject which is taught at all levels is Pakistan studies. Starts at the primary and is in fact now also taught at the university level. We should have a chapter on this. Smaller-sized, happy, and healthier families. Let us incorporate from our children, starting in the primary all the way to higher. To ensure its nationwide implementation, and we have a distinguished member of the Speaker of the Assembly, should include as a federal subject under the responsibility of the federal government, not just the quality of higher education as in the 18th Amendment, but at all levels. Second, encouraging literacy and raising female education enrollment strategy. As Mehboob ul Haq once said, an educated woman is thrice blessed. She has fewer children, she educates her children and enters the labor force. Now here I would suggest, at the local district and tehsil level, setting up a department reporting to the Deputy and Assistant Commissioner, basically looking at female enrollment and taking measures. Some of them were mentioned by Mr. Ali Chima in his excellent address, that transportation costs, that is where we should be giving the subsidy, ensuring that girls go to school. That is absolute prerequisite and insist. The third is, which we should try to bring out from Bangladesh and others, is involving NGOs. I know we have some excellent NGOs in Punjab, we have Akhuat, we have others, but I don't think they do anything on family planning. And I would like them to also involve themselves in sending out this message and distributing it. The other is, I would like to bring in, I didn't see them here, I wish they had been, the Pakistan Business Council, the Chambers of Commerce and Industry. हर रोज़ अखबार में यो जी लूटे गए, ये हो गया, बिजली की कीमत कम करें, हमारा कुछ नहीं होगा. जो असल चीज़ है उस पर भी कोई बात करें ना, population growth पे, उस पर भी कोई, we should involve them in implementing our population problem. Now this may be controversial. Fourth, set up at the highest level a body similar to the SIFC, Special Investment Facilitation Council, called the Special Demographic Dividend Facilitation Council, the SDFC, or an equivalent body in which both the military, the establishment, and the politicians have a say. And lastly, as Turkey has done, I think it is in Article 41 of the Turkish Constitution. I say this, if you want to make a strong message, let us put in a constitutional clause on this. I think I was very happy to see Mushahid and Sattar Saab and others talk about having a huge, big consensus of political parties. And possibly under Article 8 of the Constitution, promotion of social well-being and the people, broadly stating to encourage and promote family happiness, health, and balanced life while fully respecting the right of the family to make its own independent choices. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's now move